Okay. Hi. My name is Alicia Brown, and today I just want to discuss the importance of chores, allowances, and teaching money skills to children throughout their lives so that they are prepared to be an adult. So the first thing I want to talk about is chores, and when you hear the word chores, that's what most people think of is going to be th tasks around the household. That can be cleaning, doing laundry, things like that. So, chores are going to be tasks that are assigned to family members within a household. These tasks can include cleaning, taking the trash out, doing laundry, and taking care of family pets. Typically, in a traditional household, the parents will assign the children their set chores to do and will offer incentives like an allowance. In childhood, isn't it is important to have chores within the household. The importance of chores is fundamental, and it allows parents to take it and use it as a learning experience and a building block to teach their children how to be successful. Research suggests that there are benefits to including chores in a child's routine as early as age 3. Children who do chores may exhibit higher self-esteem, be more responsible, and be better equipped to deal with frustration, adversity, and delayed gratification. These skill these skills can lead to a greater success in school, work, and relationships. So, touching on that higher self-esteem, whenever a child is assigned a chore and they do it correctly, you telling them, "Hey, you did this really good," that's going to boost their esteem. And every child should have situations to where they have the opportunity to have their esteem boosted like that. And responsibility, of course. In adulthood, they're going to have responsibilities. They're going to have to clean up after themselves, especially once they move out of the household that they're living in with their parents and they're on their own. Um, to be better equipped to deal with frustration, most children, especially like your teenage years, they're not going to want to do chores. And this just teaches them, like, hey, it's okay to be frustrated. However, you still have this responsibility. And it just teaches them to deal with that. That way, whenever they're an adult, they don't have such a hard time with that concept. Yeah. Some more benefits of chores during childhood is learning time management skills. So, this is going to teach them, for example, your child is 16, just started driving. They want to drive to a football game. However, they didn't do their chores. So this is going to teach them if I want to go do things on my own time, I'm going to have to manage my time and do my chores and do everything that I need to get done so that I am able to do those things. It also helps with them developing their organizational skills. That's going to be things like, cleaning their room, putting the dishes away, just being more organized. That there's nothing wrong with that. Accepting responsibility in the family and providing an opportunity for success, especially for a child struggling in other ways. So, if a child in their life doesn't feel like they are being successful in things like school or their sport, they're able to come home and feel like they're being successful in doing their chores, and that's going to help build on their esteem and just how they think of themselves and just provide them with a way to have a more positive attitude. Um, Also, learning to balance work and play from a young age and setting a good foundation for functioning independently. So here is a little table that is some chore suggestions by age. So some 2 to 3-year-olds, they can put toys and groceries away and dress themselves with help. 4 to 5-year-olds can help feed pets, make their beds. It may not be perfect, but that's okay. That's another learning experience to teach them how to do things. Let them try it first. And when they do it incorrectly, that's when you can step in and in a positive way teach them how to do things. Um, 6 to 7-year-olds, they can wipe tables and counters, put laundry away, and sweep floors. 7 to 9-year-olds can load and unload the dishwasher, help with meal preparation, and pack their own lunch for school. I will say I have a 9-year-old niece who does all of these things, and she's very, very independent. She knows how to do these things, and it not only is beneficial for them, but beneficial for the parents as well, especially in a working household. Both of them work. So she's able to get up in the morning and pack her own lunch. That just takes a little bit of stress off of them and is also a teaching moment for the child. Um, 10 to 11-year-olds, they can change their sheets, clean the kitchen or bathrooms, and do yard work. And those 12 and above can do the bigger things like washing the car or helping out with younger siblings. Teens can do the grocery shopping and running errands, things that are outside of the house that they are able to do all by themselves. Now I'm going to touch a little bit on allowances and why allowances are important throughout childhood. So, should allowances be given to children? An allowance is a great way for parents or caretakers to begin teaching their children the importance of money management. Allowances do not have to be extravagant. You do not have to give your child $100 a week. But with the allowance being given to the child, this allows them to understand the concept of money and learn the hands-on importance of managing their money correctly. Pairing allowances with chores will teach children that when you put in the work, you will be compensated and prepare them for the future and teach them responsibilities. As an adult, they're going to have to get a job most likely. That, helps teach them and guide them that later on, when you have these bigger responsibilities and when you put in that work, you also will be compensated for that. Um, there's no set way to decide when and how much allowance to give to your child. Again, that is a personal preference. It's a thing that you can discuss between you and your spouse or between you and your child, just really whatever works best for the household. How much allowance should be given? You should consider starting an allowance by the time the child is 10 years old. By then, most children will have experience making thoughtful spending decisions, but still look to parents for guidance. That's going to be things like they go into the store with you, they really, really want a toy. They may have already gotten an allowance or gotten money for their birthday. They know like this toy is $20. So creating that allowance for them allows them to understand the importance of money and things like that with all the also the guidance of the parents. Experts generally recommend that kids get 50 cents to $1 per week for every year of their age. So that's going to be $4.50 to $9 for a 9-year-old, for example. It's important to give the allowance regularly and increase the amount as your child gets older. As your child gets older, they're going to most likely gain more expensive interests. So it just wouldn't be practical to give your teenager the same allowance that you would give your 5-year-old. Um, Allowances being linked to chores. So linking allowances to chores is a personal choice, but a great way to demonstrate to children to learn the relationship between work and pay. If you give an allowance for doing housework, make sure that your kids understand what their responsibilities are and the consequences of not doing them. That's going to also tie into being an adult and say you don't go to work for a day. That's you're not going to get paid for those hours. So if a child doesn't do their chores, they're not going to get paid for n not doing their chores. Being consistent is also very important to show that when children are consistent with their responsibilities, they're rewarded. This also offers an incentive to, be more responsible and to for them to be consistent in doing the things that they need to do. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about money management. So, why is money management important during childhood? Money management is a fundamental skill that needs to be taught during childhood in order for children to emerge into adulthood and be successful. Parents being proactive in teaching their children will set them up for success in life and allows their children to have this education to pass on through generations. So, money management is probably one of the most important skills that you can have throughout your adulthood years. You're going to have to know how to manage your money in order to be financially responsible, financially stable, and things like that. And say, for example, you growing up, you were not taught the importance of money management. However, you learn those skills and you teach them to your child. You're breaking that generational divide, that gap, and that allows the generations after you to be successful and to be even more successful than you were. And now I want to talk about the Jumpstart Coalition for Personal Financial Literacy. So, this is a nationwide survey that shows that for the first time since 1997, high school students are doing better when it comes to money smarts. However, roughly 65% of those students failed the exam used to measure financial knowledge, and in 2006, 62% failed. I just want to talk a little bit about these stats, and that way we can get a visual on um, the percentage of children who feel comfortable and are doing good compared to those who aren't. So 58.3% said that skills are learned at home versus 19.5 who said that they learned skills at school and 17.6% learn from experience. So over half of the percentage is going to be learned at home. That's why it's so important to teach your children about money management early on. And also, you're going to have to get a little bit of that knowledge from experience as well. You cannot just be taught it from home or at school. You're going to have to go out into the real world and experience that for yourself. Questions about income and spending were answered more correctly than questions about money management and saving. So this just shows that these teens, they understand the concept of income and spending that income. However, the money management and saving part, which is so important, needs to be a little bit worked on, and that can start from within the home at an early age. 11.4% of students use their own credit card. Again, in your teenage years, that's also a preference between your parents. If they want to allow you to get your own credit card, that's within their right. If they feel like you are responsible enough, then have at it. However, I would not open up that doorway because that could also allow negative impacts on things like your credit score, and that's just going to make it harder when they are an adult. Um, 15% use their parents' card, and 4.8 use both their parents' card, both them and their parents' cards. Over time, sorry, over one third, 43.3% of students do have an ATM card, and nearly 78% of the students have a savings and or checking account with the bank. And the 22.1% of students without any bank account scored lower than those who have a savings and checking account. So being able to have that savings or checking account, that also opens up a doorway. Um, you're going to be more aware and educated on how that works compared to students who don't. I know that going back to like having a savings, I know especially in my generation, there's kind of like this dark cloud around having a savings account and how much is in your savings account. And I think that that really stems from maybe our parents not teaching us. It has a lot to do with other factors, but with our parents teaching us money management and how to correctly manage that money, that helps alleviate a little bit of that dark cloud and know that it's okay to struggle. Here's how you can get back on track and manage your money. Here's a really smart way to do that. A lot of people may not feel confident in that area. There are many different methods to teach children about money management, and this can be, discussing with them about the difference between wants and need, and also teaching your children how to prioritize. Prioritizing can help in many day-to-day decisions beyond those dealing specifically with money. So, prioritizing is going to be one of the most important things because you're going to need to prioritize your wants or your needs over your wants. And teaching the value of working for money, whether by getting a job, a part-time job as a 16-year-old, 15, 14-year-old can babysit, do paper route, or just by doing extra chores around the house. That's why chores can be so important because you can tie all of these factors in and create that building block. Um, you can also give all family members a personal allowance, whether tied to chores or not. This gives everyone an opportunity to manage their own money, no matter how small. And also just being patient. No child is perfect. No child is going to come right out the gate knowing, put 10% of whatever you make into a savings. No, you're going to have to teach them. You're going to have to be patient with them and just understand that children make mistakes. Um, if a parent decides that they will give their child an allowance, they can guide them to do various things with this money. This is a great teaching opportunity to teach them to put a portion away in savings for when they turn 18. I have personal experience with this. When I was 16, got my first job, I was a waitress. I took some of my cash tips and I put it away in a savings and I saved that up for 2 years. That way, whenever I went to college and my first year of college, I had a little bit of a egg nest of money to rely on and to support myself financially. And again, parents must allow children to make mistakes. If you tell them not to spend their money on frivolous things, they most likely are going to do that. Let them learn, let it be a learning lesson for them. And now I'm going to just summarize some key points. So, the main role of being a parent is to teach and guide your child throughout their childhood years and prepare them for adulthood. And when they emerge into adulthood, you're still going to be a parent and you're going to be a mentor, but you're also going to enter into that friendship phase with your child. Teaching them the foundations of responsibility, management, and finances will set your children up for success in the future. Chores are roles that should be utilized as a teaching experience and not abused. You shouldn't put all of the chores on to a child and make them do everything within the household. Allowances should be consistent and educational to children. Allowances should also be used for things that they want, along with using these experiences as a teaching moment. Money management is one of the most important skills in life to have. When a parent can successfully tie in chores with an allowance, this gives the opportunity to guide the child and give them the correct tools to utilize throughout life when done properly.